gonna try something out here today. I don't know if it's gonna be any better or not. I really don't know. I really don't know. So I know Hal's on right now, so I don't expect people to be over here. Why does everything keep falling off? Let me just see if that'll keep that over there a little bit better. I've changed the position of the suction cup. So it's kind of on the top of the windshield. Loud rattle. Here, let me put my ear pod in. Let me know if that changed anything. I put my AirPod in. It's probably picking up this. See, I got this other mount over here, and it likes to rattle. That's better, huh? All right, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna turn on Hal here in a second. I'm gonna take off in about 15 minutes. Maybe just see how it goes. I've got it mounted so that the suction cup thing is like up there instead of being down there. I got it up there, and then this is just kind of floating here. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyhow, so I'm just gonna eat, and I'm gonna listen to Hal and hit the road. I got to go back right where we were yesterday, back to up to Wyoming. That's the way they've routed it. These potato chip loads, they have certain routes that they like because they're trying to avoid, elevation, too much elevation and stuff like that, so their potato chip bags don't pop open. So we got to go back up to Cheyenne and back up to I-80 over to Salt Lake. And so I'm just doing some experimental kind of stuff here. This really isn't like a great show. Got kind of hot in here. It was cold last night, but got hot in here. Let's see. I'm trying to put on the Hal Sparks show. And I see. See, what happens is stupid. I hate the way this does this. I try to turn one off and then the other one goes on. So I might have to just. This is probably going to go off for a second. Because I got to shut the Bluetooth off.
Like PG-13 swear. That's right. I have to watch myself because sometimes we let them,
R-rated. Yeah,
we do during the break. So my goal will be from like the the half and quarter hour breaks at 15 minutes and 30 minutes and 45 for at least 2 minutes. I will be really worried about what I say. So I'm pretty good at when we're running, not slipping. Although, it gets hard when I'm doing my regular show and there's no rules. Yeah, that's good. Anyway, so where were we? Oh, yes. We were at the Biden documents dying talking points story where the Republicans fundamentally.
So, Jeannie, if you're still on, I'm just sort of experimenting again. I mounted the mount for the camera here for the phone a little bit differently. I'm just playing around, trying to see if I can get, better, get it in a better position so it doesn't vibrate and shake so much. One of these days I'll figure it out. Process of elimination, I guess. And hey, Wes, yeah, I'm up. I picked up. I dropped the load yesterday in Denver. That I picked up this potato chip load. It was basically right across the street from each other. So I went over there, picked up the Frito-Lay's load, and then I just drove about 30, 40 miles up the road here on I-25, and this is where I stayed last night. And I just went over to Starbucks. Is right next to me. I just picked up a coffee and a sandwich, and so I'm probably not going to talk too much. I might not be interacting with the chat too much. Right now, this is really just sort of experimental stuff, I guess you'd say. Just trying to see if we can get an actual, be able to actually shoot from the road without vibration. One of these days I'll have the right setup. But so I'm going to go ahead and turn Hal back on the volume here.
Computer, isn't that quaint? Computer.
Yeah, we can all listen together.
Crack. So there's so much fun. Oh, by the way, since we're in break, happy birthday, Dave Grohl. What? Today's Dave Grohl's birthday.
I've got to put that down somewhere. We're about the same age, aren't we?
Yeah, he's a year older than us.
Okay. Thank you, Raymond Kuna.
Lovely.
Raymond
don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe, by the way.
Yeah. Says that the Hal Sparks show is his Saturday antidote. I was going to say the letters, but every time I do, I'm afraid I'm spelling something obscene. I'm not going to.
I understand. Yeah, not again. Oh, 1 Adam 12, or which one? Some of the fun folks, Roger and Out, who's in there, Manchita. Which, by the way, Manchita, your name reminds me of a Wasp song. Just saying.
That's on The Last Command, isn't it?
Nope, it's on Inside the Electric Circus.
Yeah, probably the last good one.
I don't know. I like Still Not Black Enough, and I like.
You do?
I do. I hate how it's mixed.
Yeah,
it sounds like garbage, but the songs are great.
Okay.
I wish somebody
did. Did you paint it black on that one?
Yes, and he did the cover of "Find Somebody to Love," which his voice fits perfectly.
Yeah, it does.
Because he sounds like Bonnie Tyler. That's what I part of the secret of Wasp's success on the radio is because his voice sounds vaguely like Bonnie Tyler, and she was very popular at the time. Yeah, he does, and it was a weird crossover. He's got
I was playing some for my.
I thought I heard Chicago for a split second. I was so excited, and then I was wrong. Anyways, we're back. We're just going to call it back. Hi, everybody. You're listening to Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. It's the freewheeling Saturday version because
we're talking about Wasp.
For a change. I sound fine and Johnny sounds fine, but Chicago can't be heard. Like this. It's not my problem. Thankfully, this is out of my hands, and I feel so good about it. It's just lovely. There's so much to there's so much blind side to the Biden documents case that it's obvious that they were going to hammer on this the second it came up. And it is very smart of the White House to, once the story comes out, it is clear that they discovered these documents when they were closing this office. And the story is lawyers are there because they're supposed to gather certain things, private documents and the like. And those are the only people that can legally see some of these things because it involves, contracts and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, they're doing that part of it. the legal team, and then there's like they'll hire cleaners to come after. I don't know, whatever. And they find this, and they're like, "Oh, this is classified." Closes the file immediately, calls the National Archives, notifies them that they have them, and then they pick them up. I think it was within 4 hours, 6 hours, within 6 hours.
That is pretty different.
That's that, yeah. 6 hours, a year and 3 months, and
how many literal legal threats had to be made?
None.
And denied.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. And they gave all the boxes that were around them, which were largely full of personal items, and said, "We haven't looked through these yet. You look through them, and if there's anything classified in there, you take it out, and we'll do it." Like, they didn't even bother.
They knew that those other boxes were like used sex toys, and it was going to be really embarrassing for them.
Totally, but they did it anyways.
They did it anyway.
Right. Well, you know, as vice president, you get a lot of weird gifts from other countries. Anyways,
Chicken head.
Yeah. No.
Come on. Dog shoot on this.
Well, and look, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. Listen, the important thing is that they immediately afterwards, really, they're playing a rerun of me right now, or is it or does this just sound the same? Like we're saying the same thing over again. This sounds like no other show. I was like, go to the record.
Totally new.
So yeah. Anyways, hopefully they'll get it going by the next hour, because Philip Bittner will be joining us from an undisclosed
that you're not on the air.
From an undisclosed location. Yeah, I can't even say where he is.
On a rerun on CPT, so we can let this flag fly.
All right. Well, but they're still up, so I'm worried that they'll go, there it is, and flip a switch, and then I'll go, fucking a doodle.
That'll serve them right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, what the fuck? And then they have to dump me, and pushing the dump button triggers some sort of thing they didn't know would happen, and shuts, and all the lights at the station go out, and the tower falls over, and driving miles away, a man driving in his car listening to the show who just his radio fritzes, and he crashes into a tree. Like, it's a Rube Goldberg accident waiting to happen. So, all right, well, yeah, good. Well, let's show. Then we can kind of. This is interesting, Johnny, because you and I have never, in many ways,
to do this.
We don't absolutely. We don't get to go without breaks and actually talk about stuff. So, anyways, singing with Bruce Kulick. All right, so yeah, totally derailed. Yeah, exactly. That was so fun. Anyways, so I want to remind everybody who's listening that the documents thing, the best part, the part to watch for is, I would say, 4 months from now. It may even be sooner, but it'll be really frustrating 4 months from now, when Republicans are trying to goose this into something, and it keeps getting batted down by how much worse Trump was. And Trump's own people are like, dude, ixnay, because if you want him to go to jail for it, our charges are way worse, and they're gonna have to flatten their own tires.
Yeah, if you want any kind of parenting on this, it's gonna be ugly.
Yeah, the knife cuts both ways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fairly hilarious. Not as hilarious as and largely because there were no human lives lost or injuries, but the Hobby Lobby that got hit in Georgia by the tornado, and the strip club right across the street didn't get hit. I just think there must be someone from a local megachurch standing in the parking lot, really confused right now. Just something's turned their world upside down. You mean if I'd have been in there, I'd have been dead, and if I'd have been in there, I'd have been safe. But yeah. I'm starting to understand why Swaggart went where he went. So there's a couple other things we'll get to, obviously.
Can you guys hear me eating?
I want to save all the Ukraine stuff for when Phil shows up. But ultimately,
apparently Phil's already on WCPT. That's what Chat's saying.
Oh, right. They're listening to him from last week. It's going to be all Philip Bittner if they pop in the second hour. It's going to be spectacular. So there's one thing I think we can address, and it's I try to find things that Johnny knows the least about. But the Bolsonaro Lula thing is
well, that's right up Johnny's alley.
Pretty hilarious, I have to say. Because Bolsonaro is the Trumpy in this situation. He was anti-vax. He was pro-ivermectin. He was lining up with Trump. He was, he literally, he jailed or had jailed Lula to keep him from being able to run against him in the election. And Lula,
and he still won,
is, in a manner of speaking, politically, to the left of Harvey Milk's testicles, as I want to say. That dude is, he's one of these dudes who has Marx's works in, not on his nightstand.
I've still got to wait like
another
7 minutes before I can take off.
Right? He's really a left-leaning dude. He's super left. So it's very strange to me at the people. It doesn't surprise me then when, Tucker Carlson or Alex Jones or Steve Bannon are against it, because that fits the brand to some degree. It's very weird when the Glenn Greenwalds of the world and the Jimmy Dores of the world go after Lula and consider him an authoritarian, but Bolsonaro is this poor dude who, really won, but he was cheated out of the election by Dominion voting machines. And they are literally, Glenn Greenwald and Mike Pillow are buddies in this. They are arm in arm in their argument about what's going on, and it makes no frigging sense, except for I think there's one reason, and Glenn Greenwald, I guess, lives in Brazil with his husband on this weird hilltop where he started his porn production company. And again, not here to yuck anybody's yum.
Okay.
But he apparently liked to be referred to as the Dominheron, meaning like man and woman, but also Dom man, whatever, and would produce a porn down there in Brazil, blah blah blah. And who cares to some degree? I mean, as long as you're not Andrew Tating it, it's between you and an adult person who wants to do whatever the hell. I don't care. But apparently he went down there to jumpstart that, and then the Intercept started with magic money from a corporate millionaire, by the way, which is odd. And I see Chicago popping back on with the off chance that they might be able to get to us. So watch your mouth. Yeah, I know, it's very exciting.
Come on, you members.
They're working on something. Yeah, there you go. Up there where the microphone, choose which. I see them choosing the audio source. And the question is, will they be able to feed their voice through the audio source in Chicago? It's going to happen. I know it. Yeah, someone checked Glenn's hard drives. Yes, that's definitely going to happen. So Glenn is full-on anti-Ukraine, full-on pro-Bolsonaro. And one of the interesting things, I think this is the only part that's really, truly germane to the conversation that we're having in the United States around censorship and other stuff, is that, first of all, Brazil and other countries like it do not have the same free speech rules that we do. Certainly not the UK and a lot of EU nations. So they don't play. Because of the propaganda from Russia and from Germany that they dealt with over many decades, they have very strict rules about what kind of foreign influence and how much of a foreign voice you can prop up in the country before they can shut you down. And Lula basically right now is doing similar things to what they freak out about Zelensky doing, which is closing down political parties and closing down news sources. But the reason they're doing it is because they are not legit news sources. They are genuinely mouthpieces of other countries. Now, in the United States, one of the big stories that came up was, and you'll hear this from everybody who was kicked off RT, like Lee Camp and that crowd. You'll hear that the U.S., banned and censored RT because they can't handle the truth or something. RT folded up its tent and split. And the reason they did it, the Russians did it to themselves, is because eventually they were going to start losing hosts in the United States who could no longer support the war. And they knew it, so they shut it down. They couldn't, remember the woman who stood up with the cardboard sign in Russia and to stop the war? And she had to flee. I think she and her daughter fled to Italy. They put her on house arrest, and then they tried her again, and then they put her back on house arrest, and then she snuck out, and they went to the house, and it was empty. She left the country. Okay. If they're going to have a problem with somebody like that inside their country, that's what their concern was about RT in general. That all the American hosts that were, that live here would all start going, I'm obviously against the special military operation. It's really a war, and Russia shouldn't be doing this. And that's too much for the Kremlin, so they shut it down. The UK turned them off, but the United States did not. They left on their own. And by the way, because it would eat into their propaganda, it would eat into the message that they were trying to, corral everyone into. Because even the tanky lefties, can't applaud mass grave sites and bombing of civilian infrastructure across a country that isn't, that never fired on. Yeah, it is. It just makes it hard to show up at a Bernie rally next year or year after next. So yeah, a little hard, I guess. Whatever. Anyways, you can show up at an MTG rally though. That's fun. You'll be applauded. But that Lula has gone on this. Has been going through these things and kicking some of these things off the air or banning certain websites and that kind of stuff. Because in his view and in their view and in, for the health of their country, they do not see those as Brazilians arguing with about their internal politics. The only difference is the guy with the flagpole said, yeah, I did it and I'll do it again. And he said it in video, and he said it in court, and he said it in
trying to cool off the phone.
And they were spitting on guards, telling them they were going to give them COVID.
Real high. I think that's why.
That comes out at your bail hearing. You're going to stay. I'm sorry. You're going to stay locked up. But the person right next to him who did all the same shit.
I can say that. I think it was just disconnecting.
So that might be another issue. Right? Yeah, they're blinking on and off. Bless their hearts. They must be scrambling right now, and I just want to give them all a hug. We love you, Chicago. If you're watching this. We do. So they're having this, the same problem with these, like the Brazilian side of this, because a lot of the people who attacked the Capitol on behalf of Bolsonaro were doing it proudly, espousing it in videos. Interestingly enough, more of them showing their faces than even the Jan 6ers, because there were a lot of masked Jan 6ers too, a lot of balaclavas and stuff, right? And but they were like proudly saying it.
Hopefully it won't.
So when you tell them, you know what, you put your life on the line, attacking the Capitol,
okay, so
to
once
seize
again,
back the country.
I can't see the chat. I can't really even see.
You end up
picture
like the people you were doing it for. You put your life on the line to do it for.
It's just really dark.
Chicago! Listen to that.
Hal,
look at that.
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Thank God.
Hey, Chicago, everybody. Look at Chicago.
Everybody give Dylan a round of applause.
Dylan.
I think I called it. And you'll see what a parenthood is like.
Give me my money. That's right.
Give me my money.
The Metro, which is really deep.
Okay, so if you guys are okay with this, why don't we come back at noon? Like, we'll take a break and we'll come back at 12.
We'll do the second hour. We'll do the second hour. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Perfect.
So you guys do that.
All right, here we go.
Two happy endings, because I just had one.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully it's not too shaky.
Okay, excellent. That works. The world is a buzzer.
Perfect. So we'll come back then, and we're doing a replay right now. So.
I hear you. Yeah. So let everybody know we'll be up in the next hour.
I think it's going to be shaky.
Onset of winter changing the military.
Okay, I'm going to mute it though.
Thanks for your patience, guys.
Absolutely. No problem. I'm gonna can you guys mute that signal coming our way?
No.
I guess not.
That's Chicago from Philip.
Yeah, that's literally Philip from last week telling me no.
Beginning of winter. This is.
Okay, yeah. So I'll mute it on my end.
Here we go, guys.
Just I have you muted until the top of the next hour. We're good though. Don't touch anything. You know what? I feel like that made up for the many years of me on the side just. switches and pushing buttons everywhere. So one of the, I think, okay, if we can stay on some sort of point, because we're going to have to, I think, at some point. Yeah,
this is, I believe, Firestone.
Yes, he is.
Colorado?
Oh, he's definitely going to be here, so it'll be a double dose of Phil. One of the things that's trending right now.
It looks pretty bouncy still.
I
don't think that's working at all.
Where's the FBI?
I think it's probably worse.
The FBI not coming
Let's
after
see,
Joe Biden?
maybe the freeway will be a little bit smoother. This is kind of a bumpy road right here.
Raiding his properties? Because his people already looked. They were in the conversation.
Wow. Sorry about the coughing. That's loud.
And gave all the stuff back. And the fascinating part, I love this part especially, is that apparently Nara didn't know these were missing. These are copies, more than likely, of stuff that was relatively innocuous at the time and didn't amount to the kind of stuff that they're like, be on the lookout in case there's any stuff in the wind about this, or this. And ultimately, they're going to ride this out. Like the Republicans are going to ride this out, but it's going to collapse. They're going to use this to try and keep people off of Trump, but it ultimately is not going to work, because the primary issue here is not the mishandling of classified documents, if indeed that's what happened. And again, the idea that this ended up reaction to it, it's what you do.
So we're getting on I-25 northbound.
If you pick up,
they would say it's the cover-up that kills you.
Yes, it's the cover-up is always worse than the crime, and it's like one of those things where you pick up identical suitcases.
I don't think the cover-up is always worse than the crime. I think if you commit murder and you try to cover it up, I think the murder is worse than the
stuff that was in yours. And you make the choice to look back or give
back to the
other one, because that's what you're supposed to do, America. That is the primary issue that the Republicans have a hard time dealing with. And I have to say that one of the things you can enjoy, and I always look for the secret to happiness in life is finding the joy in the things you cannot change. Things that are just happening. Yeah, exactly. But beyond acceptance, like, what's fun about this? And what's really
That's
fun
looking
about
pretty
this
bouncy.
is watching the clamor
Damn it.
go on. By the way,
It's worse. It's definitely worse.
Felt the same way about all the people who were like, "Why isn't Mueller arresting Trump?"
Sorry about
right?
that.
All that
I mean,
that
it's
you've
just
seen from our side of the aisle over the years.
It's just horrible.
And how much the Republicans enjoyed that. There's a similar joy
Oh my
you
God.
feel about it from this end, especially because of the material and ethical difference between the two cases.
I mean, I'm holding it right now with my finger here.
Is,
if I let
Trump
go,
is so awful in everything that he does.
It just starts bouncing.
Which is what I would like to bring up in our as we fade into the next hour. The E. Jean Carroll deposition stuff that came out. Did you see any of that, Johnny Million?
I'm so behind. I just found out that Diamond died.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, Diamond passed away. And by the way, Silk was on Twitter and other
Jesus, John.
and other places yelling that there's
don't you even listen to Hal's show? He's been talking about it all week.
To me, means it's COVID because they know the hospital won't tell anybody with the family, and if it gets out, you just say it's a rumor and whatever. Let me show you a little something here. It sucks. It sucks, right? Nope.
On anybody.
No.
That makes me think about this.
Yes, it's brutally sad and unnecessary.
Well, I'll be stopping in about 65 miles because I've got to do a
I will
route
always
point.
prefer arguing with someone as
and at that
bullheaded
point,
and stupid and misinformed or
I'll be
ignorant
shutting
or
off
gullible
the
as they may
shaky
be
cam.
over someone's death. Like I'm
So if
not
you guys,
interested. I am not interested.
You guys bail out.
in
I understand.
these people passing away, and it's And by the way, I think that's a valuable ethical space to be in. Let me show you something real quick, though.
Just not working.
This is.
But I do have an idea
from the
actually.
E. Jean Carroll deposition.
Because I do have
Have you ever kissed a woman without her consent? Well, I can't think of any complaints, but no. I don't think so.
I wonder if I could wedge that tripod.
Yeah, that's not the answer to that question. No, it is not. And by the way, I can't think of any. First of all, I can't think of any complaints. Is a lie, because this is a complaint, and then it's a lawsuit. You prick. And ultimately, there are a myriad of other cases. He's called them liars and that kind of stuff. But that would have fit. And women he knows he was in the prison with and stuff. And never mind that. Access Hollywood tape. This is a man who knows the world has heard the Access Hollywood tape. The thing that should have, if we didn't live in Bizarro World version of this sim we all live in, knows the world has heard that and people were disgusted by it. Largely women who marched against him
up here.
Like the women's march right after on his inauguration was enormous.
Johnson's Corner.
It was largely the tipping
point. I think I'm going to try some.
Donald Trump's depot. By the way, this isn't all of it. These pages that have been released, these are the redacted parts that he thought at one point he was going to. He said they would fight for them to be redacted.
Like right now, I'm not holding it or anything, and
then his lawyers didn't file anything else. The idea is in May they fought for a date. Like, we will file something by this date that says why this should not be released. Tabby, thank you so much.
But any little bump, any little dip, any little thing like that,
no records
just sets that thing off.
Being missing. I'm waiting for reporting that begins classified docs. Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. Yep. And the kind of examples you can use to teach a class, like not only classified stuff that was in the news. Have you ever touched a woman on her breast or her skin and wait for Philip Bittner to
one on I-80 started heading
when he signs in, we'll have him come
westbound.
I think I got.
Probably gonna lose the signal.
We'll talk about this until
anyhow.
I think I got.
Probably gonna lose the signal.
We'll talk about this until
anyhow.
He can pop with about some folks, and in quick as I'm setting. Apparently, and that is the kind of talk he uses. How you doing, brother?
1, 2, 3. Testing.
Yeah, Phil's coming through clear on my end, so that's very. That's fast. This is a curious. I think I'm just going to chalk it up to Russian internet. That's what I think. That's what I think. So you are currently not in Lviv or Kiev or any of your previous. Yes,
I'm in a town close to the front lines. And the only reason I'm kind of keeping it secret is because I'm meeting up with the military this week, and as a courtesy and as a measure of security for them.
I don't know why it keeps disconnecting. It's not like I'm out in the boonies.
Auto gain off.
Dr. Chicago.
Oh, she's not trying right now. I don't see any signal at all. Yeah, Joel, can you hear me? In Chicago? Just bringing it back up. This is just fun. This is like, I feel like I'm at like it's an early Apollo mission back in time.
It just bounces.
Connect to clean feed. Oh, that was 20 minutes ago.
So here we are at.
This is what happens when we're trying to figure this part of it out. There you go.
Hello.
Yeah, there you are. Hi.
Hey. Okay. Okay. So
Let me.
we are in commercial.
Great.
I'm loud. Okay.
It's okay. I got it.
I have a number.
So, yes, I'll get him up there. Don't worry, we'll have technically, he's in an undisclosed location, so anyways. So, Phil, first of all, okay, while everything is working, catch us up on where you are and what you're up to and how you end up there and
He just
what
said
your
he can't
plans
see
are
where it is.
that, within limits.
Yeah, well, I'm in Belfast, which is in North, and I'm here.
Don't give away your position.
The only reason I would prefer not to say exactly where I am is just simply because I'm going to be linking up with the military. And,
You probably shouldn't even be saying that.
Taking into consideration their security concerns. Until I am finished with it, and then I tend not to disclose my location just because if somebody was at the home or if somebody was monitoring where my phone is or any of that kind of stuff, or it could compromise.
What was the ride there like? What was the experience like?
Well, I've driven around the country. Yeah, I've driven around the country a lot. I mean, I was out to Marquee before, and it's just a long drive. It's cold. The winter has come in, and the roads are very icy and risky. And there's no electricity, and the sun is setting at around 4:30 in the afternoon because of the latitude we're in. I guess it would be the latitude we're at, or the longitude we're at. Anyhow, we are geographically located in a place where the sun sets in mid-afternoon. So we drove through a lot of
There you go. Giving your position away again.
on very icy roads because of the winter conditions. And just that alone, you think about, of course, during the war, you think about all the man-made catastrophes. That's man-made as well. But even aside from the shooting and the bombs and the violence of it all, because of the damage to the infrastructure in the country, and because just the roads aren't being maintained very well, because people have more important things on their mind, understandably, it's dangerous even just to drive. And we had some close calls. I'm traveling with a colleague and a friend, and we were white knuckling it for a while there because we were driving in pitch darkness on icy, sleety roads. With a lot of heavy. We saw a lot of heavy armor on the roads. I won't go into great detail about this either, but we saw there's a lot of troop movement going on the roads around here, and understandably because there's a lot of the front is active. Let's just say that. So with Solidar, now officially having fallen to the Russians, that changes the dynamics of where they move their troops. So we saw a lot of troops moving around the roads as we were driving in. So it's this is a far more active area when it comes to the actual fighting.
I guess the biggest news since the last time we talked is this weird insistence that Belarus might be dragged into this on Russia's part, discussing that element of it. How is that being taken? With any seriousness, or
there's not a lot of concern about it, even if they do decide to do it. The Ukrainians are pretty setting up defensive lines out there just in case. They're taking it seriously, but they're not terribly afraid. They know that there's another thing involved. If Belarus did actually become involved directly in the war, is that Lukashenko, the president, the dictator for life of Belarus, of life in his country and has had to put down a number of different uprisings.
Right.
I think the Ukrainians recognize that even if Belarus does commit troops to this fight, Lukashenko's position isn't nearly as secure as the Russians. The Belarusians are not nearly as supportive of Lukashenko as the Russians apparently are of, by hook or by crook, Putin. So he's in a precarious situation. And if he decides to commit troops, he might have to be fighting an internal uprising as well as fighting the Ukrainians who are, battle tested and know how to dig in defensive lines, and they've been doing it for months.
What do you think that? And strategically, this is a situation where, like, if Poland joined in with the Ukraine specifically, as far as soldiers and whatnot, in regard to Russia, it would be a wholly different thing than if they did something around Belarus, which I believe they share a tiny portion of the border with, or not a lot of it. But it's more of a strategic concern for them, because even if you take the NATO idea that Russia was worried about their border and that's why they had to fight, it's different for Poland and these other countries than Russia attacking Ukraine. If Belarus joins in, that's a country that directly connects them, that has now attacked a sovereign country on behalf of Russia, and which, by the way, Russia has said Poland's next, Berlin's next, right? Where do you think that changes their calculation at all?
The Poles?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think so, because Poland being a member state of NATO.
Yeah.
There's going to be a big problem between Warsaw and
the scale
where NATO is headquartered.
So I'm going to turn the volume down and get serious here. Hopefully I'll get a green light. Let's see if we get a green light. Come on, green light. Green light, please give me that green light, green light. Yeah, we got the green light. I love getting the green light. I love precap. I love green lights. That means I don't have to go into scale, even if it's open. If I get a green light, I'm good to go.
Way closer.
Well, make no doubt about it. If Belarus joins in, a whole bunch of different factors come into play that will escalate things. For sure. If the Belarusians get involved directly, it will be a major escalation. It will be a further step down the road of expanding this war beyond just Ukraine.
Yeah.
And everybody should be concerned about that.
Right.
But having said that, look, the Ukrainians have been fighting this war for 9 years, 8 years now. And they have been holding their own against the Russians. And if the Russians decide to attack a NATO member state and NATO gets directly drawn into this, everything. I'm not saying that NATO would handily beat Russia, because the gloves would come off. There would be medium-range continental ballistic missiles being fired. There would be the metrics would change significantly.
Right. And everybody's staying back mostly from that line, even within the context of all this stuff and the blather from Russia. Now, and I'm looking at a map, of course, and Poland's got a much bigger border with Belarus than I thought. I thought it was about half that size, just from memory. I guess the next one is, of course, is that this weird talk all of a sudden that Russia is now on a war footing. This is moved from a special operation to it's a real thing now, because now we're really going to show them. And I got to say, we've heard this language before, about 3 months ago when the first mobilization happened, and where they couldn't get enough guys worth fighting, worth training, worth, paying if they survive at all. In the first grouping, where do they think they're going to get the rest of these people?
Yeah, and also their munitions. They are. It's disputable how bad it is, but there is no doubt that their munition stockpile it's significantly diminished.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they would not be firing on things like ship missiles against land targets.
Right.
They clearly diminished significantly their stockpile of missiles. So where are they going to get those? Especially missiles that are apparently more accurate. And that's not saying that the Russians want to be more accurate so they save lives or protect civilians. They want to be accurate because they want to hit what they want to hit.
Right.
It does seem, but I'm on a smooth stretch of road. It does seem to be working okay, from what I can tell.
Except by, through a black market.
But when I hit bumps like this,
Right.
not so much.
As good as the Ukrainians have been, as impressive as the Ukrainians have been, they themselves will admit to you that they're not on par with NATO. NATO is much more powerful military force, to a small part, obviously, to the American military. But if the Russians can't beat the Ukrainians, how are they going to fare against this straight-up duel with NATO? I don't think Kremlin wants them. For all the saber-rattling, I think they're smart enough to realize that a direct confrontation with NATO ends very badly for them no matter what.
Right, and I mean it's damaging to the entire world, and it's lunacy to start with. But even beyond that, that's if their stuff works, which is questionable at this point. And I think a question they're asking themselves after they've looked at their own stockpiles of regular munitions, much less nukes, because at certain points, I wouldn't doubt that some of their nuclear material that they were planning on using ended up in Iranian nuclear facilities. That was sold off years ago. But that, there is I'm reading something. I have it up on the screen on the live stream, and there's a director of one of the whatever the Reagan Defense Forum, these people who do nothing but track munitions for a living all the time. And he said, Reagan said Russia has obtained some artillery ammunition from North Korea, and that the intelligence community is also tracking those exchanges, but added it's not been a lot at this stage. Now, North Korea is denying that it's sending it at all, but the truth is they may not even know, because if graft happens under an authoritarian regime, because what choice do you have, that or starvation? What ultimately, what do you do?
What happened now? If it ain't one thing, it's another, right? It'll probably come in back in a second here. So in the meantime, I guess I could talk. So yeah, we're I-25 northbound, about 34 miles south of Cheyenne. Once we get to Cheyenne, I'm going to pull over off the freeway, go to the Flying J. I think I'm going to go ahead and fuel up, and we'll probably, I think I'll go ahead and end the broadcast there, because once I start getting on the 80, it's even worse. But whatever buffering we've been doing here, it's like even worse there, especially between there and Laramie. And then once you get through Laramie, it gets a little bit. Another video without going live, just to test. So now we're setting the buffer again. But I've watched other drivers do these, out the window while driving. That video, relatively, they do hit some spots where that happens. But so for me, it's the complete opposite. Just a big shaky thing, and see, now we're buffering again. So I don't know. See, now we're buffering again. So I don't know where it cut out at. But what I was just saying is that it would be nice if it would be nice if that's if there's anybody in the chat, because I can't see the chat at all. If there isn't anybody on there, thank you so much for being here. Going along for the, albeit a shaky one and a buffering one. I've totally lost Hal at this point, so it's it's a miracle that I still have a signal here on the phone. But in about 29 miles, I'll be stopping for fuel. I'll pull into the Flying J, and then I'm going to end the broadcast. So at that point, when we get there. But like I was saying, anyone who's on there, if it's thanks for when we get there. But like I was saying, anyone who's on there, if it's thanks for being here, I really do appreciate it. Oh, Hal's bad. I really do appreciate it. Oh, Hal's bad.
They're going to be ready for this next wave. We have to take a break. Yeah, let's take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, mega worldwide on WCPD Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Follow Phil Bittner on Twitter at 1L2Ts. Johnny Miller.
So it's LTTPHIL.
Yeah, that's how you spell it. Yeah.
Right? We got here like, oh, I said we got here late. We got here at like 6:30. And everything was already closing down. So we went, and the one place we found open was the shawarma shop.
It's saying that you really need to quit giving context about where you are.
Right.
Yeah, we're figuring it out.
It's somewhere in the Bronx. That's my theory. Somewhere in the Bronx.
I give this chicken shawarma. The name is lovely, but it just reminded me how much people in this part of the world really love mayonnaise. Mayonnaise.
Right. You could argue with it, Rush.
A little bit. Man, but God, that thing's swimming in it.
Available calories. Yep. Okay, we're going to say.
Did you mean something like cow? Did you mean something like this?
The House Bar Show from the Dark Wall. Accidents within a mile of a mega preacher's house. Eventually you're like, is that new, or have there been a bunch, right? And Russian fires, like just inside the country. At a certain point, I was like, I feel like am I over? Like, I felt like I was watching the same things over again. I had to check the dates on these things to make sure that they were new. And 3 weeks ago, Russia's aircraft carrier, the one that they have, the Kuznetsov or whatever, and the Kuznetsov, caught fire. I'm like, look, I get the malls and the parking lots and the gas facilities and the trains, but I even get to some degree the Moskva, even though it was obviously fired upon, them going, somebody was smoking near the bombs. But you have one aircraft carrier. One. They used to have two. They gave it to China. China turned it into a hotel. And then they copied. I'm not kidding. It was a casino. They've recommissioned it.
They're diesel powered.
Yes.
They're diesel powered.
Right. Yeah. Which means any sub anywhere can hear them 1,000 miles away. Yeah, you can track them by fish swimming away from them.
And they cannot stay in sea as long as our nuclear powered ones can.
Nope.
They have to come in for refueling. They have to come in for refit.
Or they have to have a fueling ship next to that. They have to have a fuel. Yeah, they literally have to bring tankers alongside them in this. This boat is 43,000 tons. It's 1,000 feet long. It has 1,300 crew member. Well, it now has, because of the fire, it now has 1,280 crew members. It used to have 1,300, and it's completely useless in the Black Sea and whatever. But it's one of their things that they like float around like a Macy's Day balloon, saying, "Look how tough we are," and it caught fire. And like I said, now part of the Belarus thing was because was it the defense minister of Ukraine who was like, Russia should prepare for strikes further and further inside the country. And at the same time, not taking credit for a lot of these things, not actually saying. I mean, they just had 3 weeks ago at the same time, and I don't think they're related. This aircraft carrier caught fire and burned down. 22 people died in a nursing home facility that just burst into flames. Just burned to ground. That's it. 22 people. Like, this is.
There's an energy plant, power plant out in somewhere out in Siberia. In a really harsh Siberia. It went offline for days, and an entire city lost power. I'm with you, Hal. The more and more that stuff happens, the less and less I'm thinking it's simply sabotage.
Yeah.
I have been in my mind much of this is sabotage, and I still think it's a good chunk of it.
Right.
But I think it's also because of the sanctions. It's because of the fact that they cannot keep their grid working. They can't keep their infrastructure working without getting supplies externally from outside Russia. And now that that's not happening, the gears of the infrastructure are starting to, they're not lubricated anymore. They're starting to break into. And I think it's going to get worse. But I don't think it's as much sabotage as I originally thought.
Yeah.
I think it's going to
we talked on Wednesday when you came on the live stream about how Nokia and Ericsson, because the limit on the sanctions and how long they could stay in the country ended December 31st. And they just shut their laptops and left, or fired everybody and just stopped providing updates or anything. Beginning of the year, as anybody who went through Y2K knows, is one of the prime times of the year when you provide updates to software because of any myriad of glitches that can happen because of calendar changes left over from Windows, or DOS, So, right? So, half of these could just be because nobody can call for help. They can't get a signal. The small fire turns into a big fire and burns everything to the ground because your phone doesn't work anymore. And you were counting on it, and now it doesn't because the sanctions have made it so that they can't. This is, and the reason I bring this up is because, yesterday, the day before yesterday, it's hard to tell in the time scale of when the news comes out. This Russian warehouse in St. Petersburg, an enormous one, just burned to the ground. The whole thing, it says turned to ashes overnight on a fire due to unknown causes. A total of 400 meters of the facility was reported to be destroyed by the fire. 400 meters squared, I guess. Yeah, 400 square meters. The blaze follows accounts of another fire this morning that burned through the roof of a shop in the village of Krasnoyarsk in the region of Russia. The one-story warehouse was located on the Sverdlovsk embankment in the city. According to the Russian Emergency Situations Ministry, more than 70 firefighters and 18 pieces of equipment were involved in removing the fire, which didn't get removed. That's how let me explain how hilarious that paragraph is. Russia said it took 18 pieces of equipment and more than 70 firefighters to put the fire out. They didn't put it out. It burned to the ground. It was over because it ran out of fuel. The warehouse is just gone. They're like, they extinguished the blaze at 7:10 a.m. Curiously in time with when the warehouse totally ceased to exist. And this is a regular occurrence.
It's becoming obvious. It's becoming obvious. And I'm talking. And also, by the way, I know it's mostly anecdotal, but I talk to my friends in Russia. And I talk to my friends who have left Russia but are still in contact with their families back in the country. Everybody knows. Everybody can see it. They're desperately trying to ignore it in many instances. I mean, my God, that New Year's Eve extravaganza where everybody's like,
right,
everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine.
All of them wearing Tom Hinton blush, right, from Judicial Watch. They all had the guy from Judicial Watch's makeup artist. Yeah.
I think it's becoming more and more apparent. I think it's obvious. I think everybody's starting to realize it. That Russia's falling apart. It's really the level, the scale of sanctions that are being put against Russia, and the fact that they just cannot maintain their infrastructure. It's going to get really, really bad.
I will say that there is one good sign in Trump world, which might explain Trump's buoyant mood in the last little bit. Is that Trump coin, which is his cryptocurrency, is currently worth a full penny more than the ruble. The ruble is worth a penny, and Trump coin is worth 2.6 pennies. And now, obviously, the exchange, the volume of it is much smaller because there are millions, if not trillions, of rubles, that run the gamut. There are only $176,000 worth of Trump coin in existence, and whoever bought them in the very beginning lost their shirt when they were worth 60 cents, and now they're worth $2. So, and are never going up again. But that said, the idea that the ruble, oops, we lost Philip there. That might be a power thing. Hopefully he'll join us back in a second. Philip blinked out. Fingers crossed. But I will continue to talk. We got a couple more minutes before the break. We'll see if he comes back on. That always worries me when he's in an undisclosed location, when he just kind of blanks off.
He really wanted to tell us, too. It was so sweet.
Oh, quit it. So, the ruble is, there's the ruble against the dollar. For all the people who go that Biden is crashing the dollar and the ruble is surging. And no. And not at all. No, that's not good. That's when your dollar is worth 50 cents. By the way, I think Russia's at, let's see, we'll check their inflation rate while we're at it, which is fun. And more of a, also not necessarily, it's hard to track, but honestly, from inside. But it is currently at 11.9%. It went up 0.25% in the first 9 days, so it keeps climbing. So they're at 11.9%. We in the United States, our inflation is, let's check in on the U.S. inflation number. Let's see, inflation. Consumer price gains continue to cool. In this, the inflation rate, let's see, is 5.7% if you exclude food and energy. Of course, egg prices will affect that because of the swine flu cull. I'm sure everybody's tweeting, by the way, at Philip to make sure that he's okay. And you're like, hey, are you okay? Are you back on? We'll check in with him in the break as well. 6.5% in December, and then look at it going down like that. See that, Johnny Million? Little spike, and the interestingly enough, it certainly went up, whooping, and it's going down just as precipitously. It's almost as if these are not monetary issues. Not about how much, because some people will notice that the COVID rebound and the insertion of the money into the system did not happen at the same time. The money came first, and then the COVID rebound dragged behind it, and then had another hitch in its get along. Yeah. So at this point, it's in a good trajectory. That is a hard spike down, I have to say. Like, look at that. Look at that little turn right there in consumer inflation. That is, and this is, by the way, and this below it is the excluding number, but it's this height right now. That's deflationary. This is the kind of thing you see like in the early '80s when it was all the way up. Look at inflation at plus 14% in 1980.
Timeline on that one? Oh, these are years.
Yeah, these are years. So, and by the way, look at the jagged fall of it, which is way wider than what we're seeing here. But the top of it doesn't look that different. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's House Sports Radio Program, Mega Worldwide.
Come on back, Bill.
So, hold off on the happy ending music and just play a regular quick break. Come back in for us, if you could, Chicago, because I'm not sure if Philip will be here.
No worries.
Yeah. But yeah, I always love this graph. It's because it's super telling in terms of like what we've been through in terms of inflation. And again, also keep in mind that because of monetary policy, the dollar is worth technically less, but then you can buy more stuff with it. Technology is permanently deflationary, anyways. But you can,
So like I bought a microwave in like 1989, $99.
Right.
And I can buy a microwave now for $99.
That's right. Yep. Right. Those kind of things. And it does more.
Yeah, it does.
It's better. It's quiet. It's got timers. Yep. It's got better shielding. Yeah, exactly. So technology will always be deflationary, and that's the thing that technology companies always push back against. It's the hard part. It's amazing that
There we go.
Attention, stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So smart. We went a little crazy with it.
So appreciate it.
House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Welcome back. So,
I just asked Hal if I was smart, man.
no, you that report the way Devin talks on coming back on that break.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate it. I do. I really do. I feel like he didn't phone it in, and that matters. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, for the record, Philip is still out. He dropped off online, and believe me, they have power issues, and he's near the front. So, am I concerned? Always. Yes. It's very concerning. It's just, but at the same time, I feel like he's in good hands and he's in a good space, so he should be all right. But he did have shawarma. That might have been it. You're right. If it was Johnny Million and he'd been eating shawarma, I'd be like, I know why he's not on. It was a digestive issue. Yeah, right. That was the entirety of it. So, Phil, we love you. And hop back on whenever you can, if you can. If not, send a signal flare via the Twitterverse and let us know that you're all right. And I'm checking my DMs right now to make sure that he's in. Oh, here he comes. He's back. He's coming back.
The chat. I think Jewel should know that the chat likes her voice. I feel like did we meet her when we were there last in person?
Yeah.
Because I seem to remember she's introducing herself this time, but I remember commenting on her.
I think so. Yes, absolutely. We will. He's kind of coming back. Come on, Phil. I see it. He's not popping back up, but there's all kinds of.
Check out the mayonnaise, Phil.
Yeah.
And hear the mayonnaise.
Mm-hmm.
You know you love it. One of those plastic spatulas of mayonnaise, so you can get it out of every nook and cranny of the jar.
Right. Yeah. That looks like a mortar trowel. Yeah. That's how I put my mayonnaise on things, like a Three Stooges sketch, or remember like you ever seen? I always envied the sandwiches on the Little Rascals. Oh my God! Like the bread is like an inch and a half thick, hand cut. They put it on there. They put everything in the fridge on it, and then whatever's in the jars is this huge circular magic sweep, and then plop, slather. It's the only equivalent I've ever seen is the sandwich the guy makes in Heavy Metal, the cartoon.
Oh, yeah. I think about that sandwich all the time.
Right, yeah, with the because he bites into it and it's just oozing out the sides. It's hilarious. But anyway, so we think we see a signal from Philip, but he's not back up yet. I got my eye on it.
Slippery. We can tell he's slippery.
He is very slippery. He may pop in and out. Anyway, so meanwhile, we will talk about a couple of other things until he gets back up there with us.
So yeah, we're in Wyoming
the
now.
Problem the Republicans are running into.
Past the Wyoming sign a couple miles back. I didn't see anything.
Experience of the economy.
We are in Wyoming.
Mirrors very closely.
That's 6 miles from Cheyenne.
Reagan's first 2 or 3 years in office.
Another port of entry here, so hopefully we'll get another green light.
At the spike in inflation, and then what happened when Reagan came in, and how it went down, and then there was a recession, which is the lower spike right here in the chart that I'm showing online. That people were like, "We're in the money" for a couple, after the rest leading up to his reelection, and that's what is freaking out Republicans right now. Biden's approval rating is approaching 50%. And remember, Trump never got above 45. 45 never hit 45 approval. Never. And Biden, even at his worst, only dipped down, in the mid-Trump numbers, for a short time this summer. And then back up again. And they can't figure it out. And I got news for them. It's going to get worse. Republicans everywhere, somebody's got to tell you that the infrastructure projects and the construction around this country, and the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene is now touting the EV battery factory and the solar panel factory in her district, is bad news. That is, by the way, almost wholly the reason why she supported McCarthy for Speaker versus, one of the more radicals, or somebody that she doesn't, she couldn't, throw a lot in with and actually gain some ground with. Because she's going to need, at this point, we're going to have to just call it the Green New Deal and add an E. And it's that part of it, those moments, you can look forward to them this year. Those are going to happen, and it's going to be an awkward fight when she somehow, to save 1,000 jobs or 1,500 jobs in her district alone, is going to have to either stand down in her objection, which is the most she'll do, probably, or co-sponsor a bill that will set the QAnon crowd's heads on fire. They already think she's drinking adrenochrome. I am not kidding. You notice she got some lip filler and went to the beauty parlor after the whole thing on the weekend after the vote, and then she showed up with her hair straightened on all the talk shows touting her new control point. They all think she apparently keeps you young, and apparently all these aging politicians. Let me run this by you. This is my favorite part. This is my okay. So adrenochrome, by the way, is simply adrenaline that is processed with oxygen, I believe, and nitrogen. You can buy it online. You can synthesize it, but apparently the
green light
can only come when it's milked out of the spines of terrorized children. Where that
go right on.
Yes, they have to be frightened.
Way station.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's where they got the idea from. I think they all fell asleep watching Monsters Inc. or their kid was watching it, and they woke up with a stupid idea. But you can buy it. See, I agree. I saw it all the way to the end because I stay awake and watch the whole movie with my kid. So They really believe this. That in and of itself is amazing. And somehow there's a chemical difference or a spirit difference or a belief in a spirit difference between adrenochrome you can actually have made in a lab, which anybody can synthesize, and something that you have to something from the dark crystal, you have to squeeze a kid while they're screaming to get it out of them, which is so bizarre, and what a weird attachment to it. But they also think that Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and a myriad other group of celebrities and people, I bet, yes, they have stopped aging because they take adrenochrome, and they've been doing it for 10 years. Now, I don't know if you've seen pictures of those three people that we just mentioned lately. Oh boy! But in the last, exactly, I would check the label. Oh my God, guys!
Adrenochrome fast aging.
Yeah, right. Adrenonope. What is that? You're right. So, so apparently, I'm drinking straight adrenaline. It's just literally giving me progeria. I'm aging at a fast rate. This is just caffeine and adrenaline. Holy smokes! Where'd you get this? Don Jr.'s desk. So all of the people that they think are planning to live forever by drinking adrenochrome, I'm sorry to tell you, bless their hearts, they kind of look like crap. If you're talking about the anti-aging properties of something. Philip tried to pop up twice. He has not come back yet, so we probably are going to finish the show without him, but he's doing well. But those folks now think Marjorie Taylor Greene is on adrenochrome, and that was the price. The price of her, not the price of her voting with Joe Biden or joining the squad or something just really outlandish, far beyond the long horizon, but simply giving her vote to the guy who had the most votes for speaker so that they could control the House. That is the reason why they think she's now taking adrenochrome and has turned her back on Trump and is, even though, by the way, they think she's turned her back on Trump, even though Trump told everyone to vote for McCarthy. So some of them are turning on him as well, although none of them think he's taking adrenochrome because he looks like crap. So it's weird. It's a double standard. I don't understand it. If a Democrat looks like crap, they must be on adrenochrome trying not to age. If Trump looks like crap, it's just because he got the wrong color of orange. But anyways, it is that fight. I've said many times, and I will say it again. 2023 is the year of popcorn. There will not be enough popcorn for 2023. And
really good comment in the chat.
Okay.
Bill Couples says, I don't use adrenochrome, I use Firestone.
That's kind of awesome. Yeah. You know what you got to try is Adrenator. Get you into the dark web of anti-aging. Here's this fear point, this inflation number, and they're like, oh, thank you, Osbjorn, like Osborne, Osbjorn, I get it. Knudsen, and you do say the K. I learned that from the movie Cobra.
Because of the Cobra?
No, because her name is Knudsen in it, and his partner says, it's Knudsen, isn't it Knudsen? And she goes, yeah, that's right. And he gives Stallone a look. He goes, told you. So, there. Anyways, that's for you. And Johnny made that noise. I'm going to stick by that. So, there you go. So, the news stories over the next year, you will see Republicans, just like the gas stove nonsense that you saw. Republicans are going to be hanging their nails in anything that will keep them falling off the cliff. But they can't avoid it, because this is the cliff. The financial situation in the world, while it may even dip into recession, will be, I see Philip trying to pop back in. It might be a post-show thing where watch as soon as the show's over, he's able to just come back in and be hilarious. But he's trying. It's not right. It's not like for lack of trying. Yeah. When eggs, like the price of eggs because of how it went up, is going to go down precipitously. When that happens, that talking point dies right there on the spot. And they'll have to move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And what you're going to see is a treadmill of dying talking points from the Republicans all year long. And it will be glorious. It will be hilarious. And Trump's problems are not going to somehow arrest. Nope. It's just getting worse. The Trump organization was fined $1.6 million, which is the maximum you can be sued in New York. For
Hey, everybody.
Evasion.
Thanks for being here.
Specifically, not just
I'm going to get fuel. I'm at the Flying J here in Cheyenne.
License. And then the civil case is for the money.
I'm not sure how that went. If it's any better or not. I'll keep monkeying around with it, I guess. But I think I'm going to... I'm not going to do any more as I go on the I-80 because it'll just keep buffering and... yeah, I had Hal playing. So it was spinning? Anyhow, I'll look at the playback on it. But it looked like for the last 20 or 30 miles, it was, on my end, it looked like it wasn't really buffering all that much. But apparently what I see and what you guys see is two different things. I mean, I didn't mean that like a crazy way. I meant that like on my device, I'm seeing something and whatever's being broadcast is different than what I'm seeing on my phone. Anyhow, Hal's just now signed off. Okay, so yeah, I'm here. I'm in the fuel bay. There's no one behind me, so I'm not holding anybody up. But I'm gonna be shutting this down. But look out for me because you never know. I might do another impromptu. But I'll probably do it. It always looks smooth on the screen on the broadcast screen. Well, it wasn't the smooth. The only time I can't tell when it's buffering. I mean, I could see on my end. It just goes like it says that it's disconnected, and then I just hit the reconnect button, and then it looks like it's back on again, and it seems like it's only like a couple seconds. But anyhow, I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to fuel up. I'm going to experiment with another little thing here. I might just do some video, not live streaming, and just check it out. And maybe if I think I have an improvement or something, then maybe I'll do another live stream tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we'll do another one. Oh shoot! I dropped the phone. So anyhow, so yeah, been looking. Maybe we'll do another one tomorrow. I'll probably be in Utah or something tomorrow, heading down to Vegas. So, all right, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for the thumbs ups, and thanks for going on this little experiment with me. Yes, Jolie is a great mod. Thank you so much, Jolie, for helping me out. Like I've said, I couldn't do this without you because you got my back and everything. So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I guess that's it. I just want to say thanks. I know we had people in here, in and out. Whoops, and I couldn't respond. I wasn't, I'm not ignoring you guys. I just can't see the chat, and I can barely see the screen. It's just I can just tell when it goes out in and out. But anyhow, thanks for being here, guys. I'll see you guys around. See you in the chats. I'll see you on your various live streams. And so from Cheyenne, Wyoming, right here at I-25 and I-80 junction at the Flying J, getting fuel. I shall see you guys, and I'm out. Bye-bye.